have a special toast because there's one person here who stirs the pot constantly, keeps us all. No,
not that pot.
Who really, in addition to everything else, provides lift tickets, skis, boots, and airline tickets and other things. But really has every Christmas or every time we're here, Stevic makes it extra special for everyone. He kills himself to do it. He puts so much energy and effort. And we love you and we thank you very much, Stevic.
Thanks.
For all that you do.
Thank you.
Just take a few of them from me. Don't take all of them. Don't waste a lot of film on me. It's not worth a lot. So that way we tell them the before and what they're not supposed to do. But I'll try to learn.
Gotcha.
This gentleman walked in wearing a vest with more equipment than you could imagine. He had a walkie-talkie, he had a phone, he had all this stuff, and he came over and he introduced himself, and he said his name was Steve Kenney. Everyone called him Stevek.
He would always be able to see the good side in things and in people, and try to somehow grab onto that and then change people's lives with it.
I think that everybody came before Stevic. He always took a back seat and wanted the best for those who were important to him.
You could meet him for 10 minutes or know him for a lifetime, and truthfully, people felt like they were the only one, like they were his best friend.
You know, always big smile on his face. He didn't have a loud voice, but he had a voice that was certainly one that you heard through the crowd.
Steve Kenney giving the commands.
Okay, listen, a couple of things. One, there is a ledge below this from which you can jump if you want, after all the older guys that rolling jump off of here.
He was someone that insisted on bringing integrity into whatever we were doing, whether it was raising your children, whether it was running an event, sitting in a meeting room, coaching, whatever it might be. And he held a very, very high standard.
Well, Stevic had this rare talent of making everybody feel that they're special, and special to him. It was amazing, and everyone felt the same way. Everybody felt that he was important to us, and we were important to him, and that's a rare talent, and he had this talent.
Several hundred people would probably describe Stevic as their best friend, including myself, and I've never really met anyone like that.
You know, boundless energy. I mean, just, you know, everything he did 120%. He had more energy than I've ever seen. I consider myself to be fairly energetic, and he'd run circles around me.
It was incredible to watch him go about his day as he was scurrying around, going from here to there, working on solving whatever problem may have been at hand.
It didn't matter who you were, how old you were, how young you were, how good a skier you were, how weak a skier you were. Whatever your role was, he had the ability to make you feel like you were a very important person to him. And not only feel like it, but know that you were a very important person to him.
Yeah, it made you feel like $1 million. It made you feel like you were just as important of a person as the next.
He made giving back and coaching so much fun because you realized how much meaning and impact you were having on these kids.
Stevic embraced me, you know, as one of his athletes, and not only as one of his athletes, but really as one of his family. You know, the athletes that he worked with weren't just, you know, we weren't just athletes. We were very special to him, and he made sure that we knew that all the time, and that's definitely something I've learned from him.
He was a real doer and really interested in making humanity better.
He knew what people were capable of, and he kind of ignored all the little details. Like, I would sit there thinking, like, what about my insecurities? What about the things that I'm scared of? What about the fact that I'm really small, and, you know, the things that I think are so obvious to other people? And he would just ignore all of that and say, no, like, you're gonna ski down the double black diamond, even though you've only been on a green, and you're gonna go right into the highway, and you're gonna swim out into the middle of the ocean.
He became everybody's best everything, but he was my brother. And that made him really special because he was my brother. and our Stevek.
One of the interesting things was he was a very good listener already as a little kid. And I think everything that he's done came from the fact that he heard what people said and he heard what people felt. And so he responded to that. And his caring couldn't have been as great if he wouldn't have really wanted to know what these people were about and what they wanted, and he could give it to them. I don't think he did it consciously. I think it was in his blood from the beginning on.
Stephen G. Kenney was born on July 24, 1945, in Budapest, Hungary, to Dorothy and Arthur Konitz. He was the middle child of three, with older sister Gabriella and younger sister Kathy. The Konitz family would spend the next 11 years living in Hungary, but in 1948, tragedy struck.
My husband died in 48 of cancer, and I was left with 3 children. That time, 11 months old, my youngest daughter. Stephen was 2 and a half, and my oldest daughter was 8. In 1956, the Hungarian Revolution. We thought it would be the end of communism, but the revolution failed, and I did not want to stay in Hungary to raise my children in a communist country.
And then she found somebody who she worked with, who had a guide who he paid, and she said, this is the way I'm going to do it. And she came home at night, and we were ready to leave the next morning.
So when she announced one day that we're leaving, well, we were going on a trip. I didn't know it was a trip that we would never return from, but I just thought we're going on a trip, and because of the age I was, I knew my brother was protecting me. My sister and my mother took care of things along the way. I was the baby, and for me, we were just going on a trip.
In November '56, we left Hungary. We went by train to the Austrian border.
Very short time into the trip, there was an announcement on a train that if anybody's going on a very long trip, get off the train. And the train stopped between 2 train stations. And we understood that the Russians were at the next train station, and it was time to get off. So we're sitting there talking, and I get a terrible toothache. And they, she had to take me to a dentist. And at the dentist's office is where we found our next guide.
It was about 11 p.m. when we left that place, and the Russian soldiers who were guarding the border used flares to light up the night and catch those who tried to escape. Each time a flare illuminated the sky, we had to lie down, and that was November and cold, on the ground and wait until the flare died down and we could get up and move again.
I think when we were crossing the border, I still remember being really cold. And then I was afraid. But I knew that if I stayed with my family, I would be taken care of. And they always did.
After about 2 hours, we reached a place where there was a bridge to cross over to Austria. The Austrians had a church lit up, which was just on the other side. So that is where the peasants told us to go to. And all this I did with my 3 children then, age 16, 11, and 9. We left with 1 backpack, as we knew we would have to walk. When we reached Austria, the Austrians transported us to Vienna, where the American consulate gave clothing to Hungarian refugees, and we went there. I spoke English, and there were few Hungarians who did.
We had some relatives in Vienna. We went the next day on to Vienna, and then you know, you couldn't come into the United States without a sponsor. We didn't have a sponsor. So she went to work at the Red Cross, and she met a lady who took a liking to her. And the lady's husband, my mother was in insurance in Hungary. The lady's husband worked in Hartford, Connecticut. They lived in New Hartford. And she said, they'll sponsor us because my mother can work in the insurance business in Hartford. So we, in about a month, got all the papers, and we took a boat that took, it was an Army transporter boat that took 12 days to cross. We slept 5 up in bunk beds. My brother got sick, so we all, my brother and I ended up spending 12 days on a deck sleeping there because, you know, it was just sickening. And the sight of seeing the New York Harbor coming into it was just phenomenal. You know, once my mother got her license, we moved into Queens. My brother and sister went to school.
Well, my brother very quickly, when we came to the States, got a job delivering newspapers. And he wouldn't just deliver a few newspapers, he had to deliver the most newspapers. And when he delivered the newspapers, he talked to everyone.
Right from the beginning, from Queens, we started skiing. And my mother would drive us to all the way up to Stowe, Vermont, which would be 8 hours every single weekend. I remember talking about determination. I remember getting into such bad snowstorms that we slept in a gas station because we couldn't see and we couldn't go on, but we were going skiing every single weekend. And so at that point, we had skied once every season because in Hungary there were no lifts. We climbed the mountain, we carried our skis, and then you skied down. That was skiing. So now suddenly we can ski in Vermont. And we stay in some flea bag, but we skied. And I think all 3 of us loved skiing. By far, Stevek loved it the most.
Stephen graduated from Brooklyn Technical High School in 1963, then went to the University of Michigan and earned an undergraduate and master's degree in engineering in 1968. He would receive a second master's degree in business administration in 1970. Stephen partnered with his mother, who had the distinction of being the first female life insurance agent at New York Life. Together, they built a tremendously successful full-service life insurance business, which he weaved into his life and community. In 1972, he joined Stratton Mountain in Vermont as a ski instructor. He would become known as Stevic, since the mountain had another Stephen on the coaching staff. Stevic would spend the next 31 years coaching the Allegro Freestyle program and running summer camps for kids and parents.
In 1977, we were at the freestyle camp that we had at Stratton, here at Stratton, and he came as a young fella, older than me, but I was barely of age. I was 18 years old, and Stevic was this interesting fellow who came and started talking to me like we'd known each other for years, and I didn't know him.
Well, Stevic started out as a ski instructor driving what the Allegro program at Stratton. And this is a program with 100+ young kids in it. And he really just pushed that program right toward freestyle. I'm not sure that program was even designed to be a freestyle program, but that's the direction it went, and that's the direction Stevic was going to take it.
And he fought everybody. Nobody at the mountain ever wanted to give him any money. Nobody wanted to support it. Nobody believed in it.
He beginning to build his program and creating jumps all over the mountain to support his program, and I was on the patrol at the time, so I was kind of always chasing him around and carrying around the jumps. We started off on a little bit of a rough note, but got to be great friends through that process.
So he started with a small group of people. Then he decided that if the parents went along with the kids, he had a better chance of getting more kids. So he created a program for the parents. He had instructors who skied with the parents and cut lines and he had the freestylers and kept building on that.
So he was really sort of instrumental in starting a lot of our seasonal programs around the idea of connection, fun on the mountain, and getting all these families and kids together, which was really very neat.
Well, Steve was a TD as an official, and he TD'd at a variety of events throughout the U.S., and then progressed through the license levels, received his A license probably in the, I'm going to say, early to mid-90s, and judged several World Cups. And I believe he was a TD at one of the World Championships, although I don't recall which one in Europe somewhere.
My very first camp was in Lake Placid in 1992, and I was really scared. You know, I'd been a gymnast and a skier for a long time, but I had definitely never jumped off a jump that was that big. I mean, to me, as a tiny little 12-year-old, it was huge, and I was terrified. And you know, it really definitely took the support of someone special to, you know, get me off the jump that first time. And you know, I remember looking at him and, you know, telling him how scared I was, and he believed in me, and he knew I could do it. And you know, he stood right there and watched and cheered me on, and you know, that was really important to me.
Emily?
I'm gonna let you.
Emily, it's not so bad. You can't throw up. That's not allowed.
Emily, it's fun. It's gonna be fun. It looks so much better from down here, I promise.
Had a girl. This is Emily coming down for her front. Nice going, Emily.
Stevic was driven. He was extremely hardworking. Everything he did up here reflected it. He did 2 full-time jobs. He did his insurance, and he did the program up here. And he was a perfectionist. He was absolutely driven.
Stevic was a magnet. You know, I think he was a magnet for freestyle skiers. He was a magnet for really just forming strong relationships. And that's what was really, I think it was a fundamental building block to the Allegro freestyle program at Stratton.
You know, I think Stevic made Stratton the family, the family environment that we all love at Stratton, that has attracted all of us and kept us coming back to be involved in the Allegro program, was Stevic's magic. You know, creating that family, that love, you know, that feeling that you really wanted to be a part of his world in Stratton.
I mean, every child that went through his program was embraced, no matter the caliber of skier you were, who your parents were. You always got a chance, and he tried to spread himself as thin as possible to give everybody fair crack at his time.
What's gonna happen now?
I don't know.
What's gonna happen, Steph?
She's gonna go do a hop right into the turn, then she's gonna ski straight down, hold her arms out in front of her, hop, and do a perfect jump.
He always made it a point. He knew every kid's name. He went out of his way to talk to you, went out of his way, just every day.
He was that guy that if you were like, oh man, I left my boots at the mountain, he was like, oh no, I already have them. Like he kind of like picked up after everyone and, you know, kept everyone in order. And, you know, if you didn't have a ride somewhere, it was like, oh, don't worry, you're coming in the Suburban with me. You know, he was everywhere.
Everybody was included. Nobody was excluded. And he grew the program not from the top down, but from the bottom up. He worked with the small children, younger children, the B team. The A team, when they went off to compete, they were on their own, but they knew Stevic was always there. Stevic didn't have to be with you or be there to be with you. He was just always a part of you, and everybody knew this. And the program grew in that way.
Have fun.
Come on, Stevic.
Off.
One dive.
No.
One dive.
Off.
One dive.
I wouldn't do it.
Stevic.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that.
One dive.
I would come back down.
Slip if I don't get off. Let's go back and get off.
I would come back down if I were you. I would come back down if I were you.
The values in the program are something that Stevic, you know, embodies Stevic, and we're committed to furthering his values in the way we run the Allegro program.
Allegro is more than just a freestyle ski program or a team. It's a family.
We want to carry on his legacy, and we don't want to disappoint him. And so, you know, we're trying our best, and like I said, some days we might fall a little short, but it's not for lack of effort, and we really want to make sure this is a successful program that he's proud of, and that everybody that's a participant is, because it's such a key component of who we are.
This is Chris Leva for his second somersault because I missed the first one.
Got so excited, stop the button. Jessica, extend! We have Jamie up there debating on whether she wants to do a front tuck or not. She's complaining that she doesn't want to do it. The coaches are yelling at her, telling her she's got to do it. Here's Jamie on the in-run. Nice front tuck, Jamie.
Well, the water's down about 15 feet, guys. We're checking out the other side. Timmy's going to go in and check it out. And
Timmy, dive in. What are you doing? I don't know, it's not good enough. Make up your mind.
Bless these rings, that as Bruce and Kristen wear them, they will be reminded of their faith in you and their promises to each other. Let these rings be symbols of a deep and unending love. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Cheers. Who? To Stevic, the film meister. Master of all films. Really? Be it video or be it solid print.
Thank you. Did you say something to Bruce? I'm looking for you to say something to Bruce and Kristen.
Something smart, and I'm...
No, something nice and...
Well, Stevic, I think you're a very nice fellow, and I think you've done a magnificent job, and I think that...
But say it for Bruce and Kristen, not for me.
Stevic doesn't want... But you can keep on going with that,
Stevic doesn't want the excess attention.
Okay, Stevic.
As unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, and as embarrassed as I am in front of a camera. Oh, here, have some of my Coke.
Never mind all of that.
This is really, thank you to everybody, but I just want to propose a toast to Anya and Mike. What are you looking for, Anya, under the table? When I'm trying to propose a toast to you, and you got to lean down under the table, I know you're hiding. As I'm generally the one that deals with much of the aggravation of the office, and I'm probably the one that creates 98% of the aggravation. 99%. We love you all very much, and to have done this and what you guys, between the two of you, have done and brought to this country and came together and built is really the American dream, and it's almost unheard of, and it was done with great class. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Very, very good.
Now we smacked him.
He only wanted me to do that.
What fun! Blake, say hello to the camera. Say hi. Good. What's your name? Tell them your name, Blake. I think I'm being followed by a camera. Hello, Tony.
We're just trying to get 5 minutes of Stevic on tape.
That's unbelievable.
Just to show how hectic it is. Then we can show you, and you'll realize that.
Okay, guys, when you're done, we need to put all the mats away. We need to pick up everything along the pole.
On Thanksgiving Eve, 2003, in New York City, in his haste to help a dear friend, Stevic was tragically struck by a car on Park Avenue and passed away.
I remember when we heard about my brother passing away, and Kristen, our daughter, had just gotten home from college. She hadn't unpacked her suitcase, and we got the call from Brian, and we got on the plane immediately, so she never unpacked. And then when we went to the memorial, there were so many people, and I didn't know most of the people, and I thought, of all people, I knew my brother better than anyone, but I hadn't met most of those people.
I was, I guess, tasked with being the master of ceremonies, if you will, at Stevic's memorial. And it was an event that's really difficult to describe. You're at Carnegie Hall, and...
Good evening. I am Brian Baskin, Stephen Kenney's nephew, and on behalf of the family, I would like to welcome all of you to this celebration of the life of our beloved Stevic.
The service was incredible. There were so many people. I'll never forget the lines. There was just the line outside of Carnegie Hall. I think everybody had tickets to get in, and I remember some people didn't have tickets.
You know, when I stood up at Carnegie Hall talking about Stevic, you know, first of all, when you look out and saw the number of people that were so touched by him, that you could fill up Carnegie Hall and they were still turning people away, and to see all the lives that he touched, but then also to be able to, you know, think about what Stevic meant in my life and talk about it in front of these people, you know, and it was just, you know, really, it really touched me to think about, you know, who he was and how his presence in my life evolved as I got older.
And most importantly, we should all make a little extra time, show a little more patience, and appreciate our children the way he did. I will miss his honesty, integrity, and straightforwardness, but most of all, I will miss those wonderful hugs. Thank you.
And it was funny, everyone that spoke about him, they all had very similar things to say. It wasn't like, oh, he was this person up here in freestyle, and he was this person when he was at New York Life, and he was this person when he was at home, and you know, he was the same great giving guy. Always funny, always smiling, just across the board. And it was so nice to see that he had affected so many people, and it made you want to better yourself. You said, wow, I mean, this guy really lived a life of true meaning. I mean, to see someone that has this many friends that cared about him so deeply was just, I mean, we should all be that lucky to have a group like that.
But they thought that Stevek was their best friend, but he was really my best friend. He was my brother. And so how could they be his best friend? And the stories that came out during that time, I felt, how could this be? Where did I miss out on that part of my brother, that he could have that many best friends when he took care of everything that we needed?
I have always worried about Stevek because he would tell me how much he did for other people. And all I knew is Stevek gave, and I was worried about Stevek never getting it back. And my current husband George and I kept talking to him about, Stevek, you got to take care of yourself. You're not going to have anything left. These people, you know, they're not going to appreciate it. I mean, he would give up everything. And when you ask the question of the memorial, that's the first time we saw that I was wrong, my husband was wrong. What he did for others, they appreciated as much as, or more, than we could ever visualize.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks, Stevic.
In the wake of Stevic's passing, we had this very difficult task of, there's this outpouring of this desire of everyone to want to help in some way. And equally, there was a real void, particularly in his community up in Stratton, that we thought, is there something we can do to try and match these two?
The foundation was started by not Stevic, but by the people. Stevic didn't want anything. He never asked for in his estate that a foundation be formed in his name. But we wanted to continue his ethic, his legacy. Stevic gave to so many people in so many ways, but for those, and being inclusive, he wanted everyone to participate. And there were young children who wanted to participate in the program, couldn't afford to. They had, you know, to buy skis, pay for the program. They had to pay for coaching, traveling. We realized that, he realized that these children couldn't participate. So he was able, through his creativity, to raise money through the parents that could afford it, be it by asking for a little more donation, selling tickets to their friends, bringing money in, and he used that in his way to pay for these other children that couldn't afford it.
And so what we created with the Stevic Foundation was a foundation that could try to accomplish these various things that Stevic naturally did.
you know, the work of the foundation and the fact that that was supported to, you know, carry on and help support this program. You know, as the resort, we're trying to serve, you know, many different constituencies, so it's great to have another support network like the foundation out there to help us. So I think that all of us making sure that we don't let the light go out that he lit for us is what we all need to do. And certainly to date, you know, the program's as strong as it ever was. It's a little bit, it's bigger even. So I think, like I said, I hope he's looking down on us and going, you guys are doing a good job.
With the foundation, one of the arms of the foundation is this trying to capture his spirit of generosity and to helping those that don't have as much themselves. And to that, in that vein, we've set up scholarships to support kids who, you know, have the dream of skiing in the program but don't necessarily have the means.
The Stevic Scholarship Fund is maintained by the Connecticut Community Foundation. And through there we accept applications of any Stratton skiers who are in the Allegro program, who want to participate in the Allegro program, and who have a financial need or are financially qualified, as we say. And we've given out many scholarships and thousands of dollars a year to this purpose in Stevic's name. And the foundation hopefully will continue to grow, and with the support of the parents who are in this program, we'll be able to give to the mountain by supporting the scholarship. The foundation also, through the mountain school, we work in conjunction with them and have an arrangement with them where we're able to give to the mountain to help the freestyle program.
The kids now that didn't have the opportunity to know Stevic have the Stevic Competition Center and the scoreboard and, you know, the new Palma line. And anytime that stuff's running, we say, well, that stuff's here because, you know, people gave to the Stevic Foundation. And you know, we kind of try to tell a little bit about who Stevic was, but I think even more than that, we try to live the way Stevic lived and, you know, really try to make a difference in these kids' lives because, you know, he made such a difference in ours.
It's just, he was magic to what skiing is about and freestyle skiing is about.
Many people don't realize that Steve was actually awarded the Jan Stahl Award, which was a FIS award for extraordinary service. And that occurred the year after he passed away.
I think that Stevic's influence on my life and on the life of my family was really something that began without me even really noticing it.
There's a voice in the back of my head, you know, not to sound too corny, you know, like, but what would Stevic do in this situation?
Leave the world a better place by making one person smile or a word of encouragement or anything like that. You know, and be an ambassador for that. Show people the right way and do it in a way that's infectious and fun.
I think he left enough of a legacy behind for us to try to grab onto as far as his coattails of having fun with the program and what it means to kids. And I think that we learned enough through his ways to maybe carry on his tradition. And as I tell a lot of the parents, we aren't Stevic. We can't be Stevic. We can try to follow through in Stevic's principles, and we can try to follow through in Stevic's the lessons that we learned through him. But to be him it ain't going to happen. But I think even to this day, if you talk to most of the parents at Stratton and most of the kids, it's still about fun. It's still about getting it done on the hill, and it's still about, at the end of the day, looking back and just like, you know, feeling really great.
The more you give, and the less you think about what you're giving, the more you always receive, and yet you're not giving to receive. Yeah, his motto is unbelievable.
Okay, guys. Good job. Thank you. Very good job. One day down. Good job. Good job. Thank you. One day out of the way. Good work. Thank you. Good work. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. One day down. One day down, one to go.
Half done.
Thank you. I just stood around and watched. I didn't do anything. Congratulations and thanks for the help. Thank you very much, and stop recording me.
When he can, he will. And you know, he always did. Shine a little light, share a little love, shake it with his daughters. Shine a little light, share a little love, shake it with his sons. Shine a little light, share a little love, shake it with your daughters. Shine a little light, share a little love, shake it with your sons. All good things come to an end.
And flip. There you go. Hold on.
For all you non-believers, there was a double back tuck by Steve Kenney.
You heard it. 3.
Out!
He's qualified.
Send him.
Okay, guys, I just have to tell you.
Do a reenactment.
Hold on.
Reenact it. Really? This is what?
Hold on.
Hey guys, Stevek's got a present. Yeah.
Hey, Calvin.
Hey everybody.
Okay, everybody listen up, listen up, listen up, hold up.
No, on you.
My God, I got towels. What a wonderful present. I could not have found a better one myself. I can't believe it. How did you manage to do this? Thank you.
Got him on right.